Up until 2020, every year Cedar Fair announced new additions usually to come to most of their parks. In 2020, they announced nothing new for 2021, and some of the 2020 attractions opened while others were postponed to 2021. Today, I'm going to predict what I think is coming to each Cedar Fair park in 2022.
Looks like Six Flags
Cedar Fair
is ramping up the screen.
Cedar Fair is one of the largest theme park chains in the world, operating many properties. With most of 2020's additions opening in 2021, it's time to take a look at what the chain will be adding for 2022. This video is just speculation and opinion based, and nothing was confirmed by Cedar Fair. Cedar Fair previously said they will start adding at least one new ride to each park every year, similar to what Six Flags does, but for the purpose of this video, I'm going to assume they don't start that new policy until 2023. I have a total of 4 coasters that I predict Cedar Fair to open in 2022, but 2 or 3 of them are much smaller coasters. Cedar Fair usually doesn't open up more than 3 coasters in one year, but I think this year will be different. Now let's get into it. Starting off this list is Kings Island. They just got Orion in 2020, but nothing for 2021. So I predict a larger flat ride coming for the 2022 season. Their next coaster will probably come in 2023 or 2024, being that they usually get coasters every few years. Moving on to Dorney Park. I think Dorney Park will get their rumored Gravity Group shuttle coaster. They are in desperate need of a new wooden coaster, as their only Woody is turning 100 years old this year, and their last coaster addition has since been removed from the park. Dorney's neighboring parks and competitors all got coasters recently too. Hershey Park got Candemonium for the 2020 season, and Six Flags Great Adventure has Jersey Devil, pushed from 2020 to 2021, so Dorney needs a new coaster to stay in the game. Sadly though, it seems that a new coaster may force Dorney to remove another coaster, and they already removed their most recent addition. If you want me to make a video on what happened to Dorney Park and why it stopped getting the massive additions it used to get, let me know right now in the comments. Moving to Valleyfair. I predict this park will get a Zamperla flat ride similar to one of the ones Six Flags is pasting into all their parks across the country. The Pendulum or the Endeavor sound like good options. Since I already predicted Dorney Park to get a coaster, I don't think it's likely for any of the other small parks to get a coaster for 2022. Which is exactly why I'm not betting on anything major for Worlds of Fun either, so I will just skip over it. Michigan's Adventure is opening a new family coaster for 2021, so I don't see them getting anything too great. The park was also closed throughout the 2020 season, so Cedar Fair will likely leave them with a very small addition. Moving to Carowinds. Carowinds is an interesting park in terms of getting new additions. They added a coaster 2 years in a row in 2009 and 2010, and another 5 years later in 2015. Only 4 years later came their next coaster, and if they followed their pattern, they would have got a second coaster in a row for the 2020 season, but they didn't. And after the crazy events that happened, I don't see them getting a coaster in 2022. However, they are almost due for a coaster, and I think it will be a B&M. Maybe a launched wing or a flying coaster, or even the new B&M surf coaster. Moving on to Kings Dominion, where Volcano was just lost. Rumor has it that a 4D free spin is coming this year as a temporary replacement for a flat ride, and a bigger coaster will come in down the line. Personally, I think the launched Intamin Hot Racer will be perfect, but since Cedar Fair doesn't work with Intamin, we will have to see if RMC can build a Raptor with a launch. Anyway, that wouldn't be for this year, because I predict a 4D free spin coming to Kings Dominion in 2022. Another interesting thing I can add is after S&S recently launched their new air launch model, it would be really interesting to see Kings Dominion put a launch on the free spin. but that's unlikely, and I'm not even sure a launch would work well on that coaster. I'm just putting the theory out there. Canada's Wonderland was closed for the entire 2020. They just got a new coaster in 2019 and aren't due for one until at least 2023. I'm predicting their 2020 attraction getting delayed another year for 2022, or possibly just overall park improvements. They have a bunch of old coasters that are going to need to be removed soon, so a coaster isn't far away, but 2020 is too early. Moving to California, we have California's Great America and Knott's Berry Farm. Both of these parks got coasters in 2018, with California's Great America getting Railblazer, and RMC Raptor and Knott's getting Hang Time, a Gerstlorf Infinity coaster. Both of these rides are on the cheaper end in terms of coasters, and since Knott's is really low on space and usually has a 5-year gap between coasters, so I'm predicting they will have to wait until 2023 for their next coaster. I'm predicting a new flat ride coming to Knott's. But for California's Great America, I think they will get a coaster. The park has been getting decent investments from the chain over the last few years, and I think they will add a new coaster for the 2020 season. I'm not 100% on what they could add, but a B&M Hyper would be great. It just may be too expensive. Hopefully Cedar Point could find it in their hearts to put a B&M Hyper, but if not, the park has many other gaps. They could use a launched B&M wing coaster like Thunderbird, or even a multi-launch coaster. If you want me to make a full video on what I think they could get, let me know in the comments. Before I get to the last Cedar Fair park, I'm asking you to launch the like button. When it turns blue, you've successfully launched the like button coaster. I try my best to create the best content for you, and editing isn't easy, so I really appreciate all the support. Finally, down to the final park, Cedar Point. Cedar Point's latest coaster was Steel Vengeance in 2018. Cedar Point usually waits 2 to 3 years between coasters, but they did have bigger gaps, their biggest being 6 years in between Maverick and Gatekeeper. It's likely they add a new coaster just 4 years after the latest for the 150th anniversary, but maybe it waits until a later year. As for what it will be, I made an entire video on that you can watch after this, where I go through some possibilities never mentioned before. Some say a B&M Flyer or GCI Woody or Mack Extreme Sprinter, but I think it could be something a lot better than that. Something that's a much better fit for the park, and a coaster that will become the best in the world when it opens, and keep that record for years. You want to watch that video, so click it now. What if Cedar Point added an Intamin prefabricated wooden coaster?